नमस्ते. श्रीमान वेंकटनाथार्य कवितार्किककेशरी वेदांताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्तां सदा हृदि. लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नादयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां. यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुग्मव्यामोहदस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धो रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये. माता पिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मतन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य न कुलपतेर्वगलाविरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्क्रेगुलं प्रणमामि मूर्ध्ना. भूतं सरश्च मगधाह्वयपट्टनाद श्रीभक्तिसारकुलशेखरयोगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्क्रेणुपरकालिदीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्गसमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यं. Namaste. We spent last week, thank you to seeing again, thank you for coming. We spent last week the basic introduction and the first 6 slokas of Geetartha Sangraham. We had the context setting of giving the background and also to understand who Swami Desikan is, a very brief introduction to Swami Sri Desikan who wrote this Geetartha Sangraham. And we also discussed the first 6 chapters briefly. Today we will continue and try to complete the remaining 12 chapters, which will complete the 18 chapters. So just to summarize, we discussed that Bhagavad Gita was given by Sri Krishna himself, that's why it's the Bhagavad Gita. So we are all blessed to even discuss what Sri Krishna himself has spoken and given us an advice. He spoke to only one person called Arjuna, but Arjuna is a representative of all of us. The Acharyas have clearly explained that Krishna's speech, Krishna is Paramatma and Arjuna is a representative of Jivatma like all of us. So whatever message that Krishna gave to Arjuna is all for all of us who are there then, who's here now and who's going to be there tomorrow. And we are truly blessed to be even listening about it, discussing about it. As in the 10th chapter, Krishna says, he says true people who are in devotion love being in the company of fellow devotees and they enjoy talking about Krishna, discussing about Krishna, singing about Krishna. So that's what we are doing here collectively. And we also discussed about the basic premise of how to recite the slokas. So we had the Taniyan, as the name stands, it stands out from the work, that's why it's called Taniyan. So it is written by an Acharya who's later to the Acharya who's authored the work. So that's how we structure. So we will start doing the same thing. We will recite the Taniyan and then we will recite the Pasaram twice and then we talk about briefly about the meanings in those Pasarams. So we can go to page number 17 in English and for those in Tamil 25, 17 and 25. Once you are ready, we can start. So I will recite once, you can recite, follow me and recite. Is that okay? Sirondru Thupul Thiruvengadamudaiyan Parondra Sonna Pazhamozhiyul Orandru Thane Amayado Tharaniyil Vaalvarkku Vaanera Pomalavum Vaalvu. This is a standard Taniyan for all Swami Desikan's slokas in Tamil. There is similar one in Sanskritam, similar Taniyan is there. Irrespective of whichever stotram of Swami Desikan you recite this Taniyan when you discuss Tamil. The next two will be specific for Geetartha Sangraham. Kattappurul Viritha Kaasiniyil Naan Marayil Ittappurul Iyambum In Purulai Sittar Tholum Vedanta Desikanai Mevuvar Tangal Tiruppadambuyam Adiyen Patru Geethai Mozhindharulum Vedanta Desikanar Padara Vindamalar Bhaktiyudan Patru. The second Taniyan says, one who is Swami Desikan, one who is now talking about this Gita, let us hold on to his divine feet. That's what it means, second one that we are talking. So far we discussed the brief about Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We said we have 18 chapters, 700 slokas. Out of the 18 chapters, you can group it as 666. The first 6 talks about Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Karma Yoga means all our actions. Jnana Yoga is all the knowledge that we acquire about Bhagavan, not the generic knowledge or worldly knowledge, but about Bhagavan. Then the next 6 chapters, which we'll start discussing today, will be about Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti is all about devotion. The last 6 chapters will have a mix of all these 3 and the phalan of what you will get when you recite Bhagavad Gita, when you follow the instructions of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. We also discussed how Krishna, who is Paramatma, the Supreme, who became a charioteer just because Arjuna requested to him to be his charioteer. And more importantly, if you go back a bit, it is all because of Draupadi's Saranagati she performed, the surrender she performed when she was being disrobed in the Kaurava Sabha. So when she raised both her arms and asked for Krishna's help, he started giving sari at that time to cover herself. But he keeps saying, for that one surrender, I have to do so many things, because even after doing all these things, I am not able to repay to what Draupadi did the other day. That's what Krishna says. So when you do complete surrender with full knowledge that he is the Supreme, he will protect us continuously, and that is what he is doing in various stages. This is what people who have learned Mahabharata will know, that Krishna protects Pandavas and Draupadi in many ways, not just during the Sari episode. When the Mayan Maligas, when the Kauravas tried to burn them out with the whole palace, with an imaginary palace, he protects them. When, of course, as a charioteer, he comes. Before that, he goes as an ambassador trying to stop the war and get back the wealth. He does a lot of things like this, small and big, in various places, just because of that one surrender of Draupadi. So you will see the last 6 chapters emphasizing more on surrender, Saranagati, more and more often and again, because that is what we are talking about in the whole Bhagavad Gita. One takeaway is surrender to him. So that is what we will end with this when we finish off today's thing. So let's go to page number 28 in Tamil and 20. Okay, page number 20 in English and 28 in Tamil. So we'll start with number 8 Pasuram. As we discussed the other day, each Pasuram represents one chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The first one is a summary of the whole Bhagavad Gita. So the second Pasuram reflects the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So we are now in sloka number 8, which means we are talking about the 7th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So I will recite one line. Let's repeat together. Tan nindra unmayai, tan tanimayai, maraithamayum, tan andri, மாயதனை தவிர்ப்பான் விரகற்றமற்றமையும் மேனின்ற பக்தர்கள் நால்வரில் ஞானிதன் மேன்மைகளும் தேன் நின்ற செங்கடலான் தெளிவித்தனன் பார்த்தனுக்கே. So here he says தான் என்ற உண்மையை. Tan means about self. So here we are talking about Sri Krishna's words. He says in 7th chapter, he is different from everything that we see around. He tells this to Arjuna. I am different from you. I am different from everything, everybody here in this battlefield. I am different from living things, non-living things, this prapancha, everything. So that is what he says. Tan ninda nenmayum, tan tanimayai marathayam. So he is unique. He stands steadfast. And I hide my uniqueness to be one amongst you is what he is trying to say. So that is what he is saying, and he is the reason, a cause for all these people. We discussed about 3 tattvas last week: Chit, Achit, Ishvara tattva. Remember? Chit. Chit is one which has knowledge. Like we all know, I am Anand, I am sitting in front of you, talking here in Hindu Center, I am in Singapore, all that knowledge is there. So all that one has knowledge about oneself is Chit. This table and chair is also a Jivatma. But the table or chair doesn't know they are the table, they are the chair. So that's why they call Achit. Chit and Achit. So these two are the Jivatmas. Then you have the Paramatma, which is Sri Krishna. So that is the Tattvatraya. He says, as Paramatma, I am the cause of Chit and Achit here. I create everything. And all this chit and achit comes back to him, it dissolves in him, it originates from him, it comes back to him. That's what Krishna says in it. And that is what its whole thing is about. Everything emanates from me, everything comes back to me, is what Krishna is saying in this. And then the only way to go away from the Maya or the illusion that I am different from God, or I am something unique, or I am the everything, the only way to get over this illusion is to go back to the divine feet of Krishna. Because as we saw in the first 6 chapters, he specifically emphasizes that body and Atma are different. So if we think the body itself is Atma, then we think we are different. So that will lead us to different way of knowledge, which may not be correct as to what Krishna is prescribing. So Krishna says to get the correct jnana, you have to focus on my divine feet and acquire the right knowledge constantly, for which you have to do karma yoga. So it will come back to the same thing. To perform bhakti, do karma yoga, acquire the right knowledge, come back to me and do bhakti. So that's the cycle he's saying. You can't go directly to bhakti because you won't have the right jnana and you won't have the expertise, because practice makes us perfect. So what is practice? Karma yoga. Keep doing what we are supposed to do. Then we get the perfection, and to do that we acquire knowledge, and as we do it we acquire more knowledge. So that's a complementing skill to each other. Then we go to Sri Krishna with bhakti. So and this he says, main nintra bhaktargal nalvaril. We spoke about 4 different people last week. Arti, Artharthi, Jignasu, Jnani. Remember, Arti is one who is seeking wealth. I am totally poor. I need money to live, sustain, grow, educate myself, feed my children, get my children married. Then I ask money. Arti. Artharthi is one who was wealthy once. He's lost all his money for whatever reasons. He goes back to God and says, give me a lot more money. I was once rich. Now I want to make me rich again. It's called Artharthi. Jignashu is one who wants to enjoy one's Atma, the self. And wants to, he also goes to Krishna. Then the Jnani who goes to Krishna, who says, I am Jivatma, you are Paramatma, I am subservient to you. Keep me under your feet all the time. The knowledge, he is the Jnani who is seeking. So all these 4 people he is only protecting. He says, out of the 4, I like the Jnani more, he is more closer to me. He keeps emphasizing that part. And then here Swami Desikan beautifully uses, Ten Nendra Senkadalan. That's a pure Tamil word which says, his divine feet is filled with honey. So that's the tastiest place in this whole Krishna. So fall at his divine feet, which tastes like honey. Ten Nendra Senkadalan, that's how he uses. And Pandits, when you listen to their discourses and all that, you will find a very beautiful analogy to this. We have seen the little Krishna sucking up this thumb photograph, right, with an alilai. Sleeping on a leaf, a baby Krishna will be holding his legs and sucking thumb of the right leg. That's a normal photo you will find. If you go to any Indian store, if you look for a Gokul talcum powder, they use this as the image. So normally, okay, in the Mahapralaya, when this entire universe goes off bang, Krishna alone is there surviving like this. Where the Pandits are eulogizing themselves, where they're looking at this is, why is Krishna chewing his thumb, particularly thumb of the right feet? He says, everybody is falling at this feet, so what is so great in it? Let me test it, is what he's doing, is what people, Pandits enjoy that part like that. So that is what Swami Desikan is saying. Ten Nendra Senkadalan, his feet is full of divine nectar or honey, that it is so beautiful, it is so tasty. So that is about Ashram number 8. Now move to the 9th one. Arada Selvamum, Aruyir Kanum, Arum Payanum, Peradudan, Kadarkil, Amarum Peruvachigalum, Sorad Ugandavar, Tuimadi Kolvadum, Seivanavum, Tera Visayanukku, Tirunaranan Seppinane. So here completely Sri Krishna once again preaches the same Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, says to do for you to do Bhakti, go and do all the practices and doctrines as given by the scriptures. I have given you the Vedas, I have given you the Shastras, do as per what I have told you in the Vedas and Shastras. This is what he is re-emphasizing in this. So he keeps saying that become a jnani, focus on doing your duty without looking at the result or without an expectation of the result, and constantly do that. You are doing it for me, not for doing it just for the sake of doing. That is what he keeps saying. So he uses Arad Selvamum. Selvam is wealth. So unending wealth will keep happening. Where it is there, when you do bhakti, you will get me. So you will get unending wealth by performing bhakti yoga. That's what he says. And then Swami Desin uses Tumadi Kolvadum. Madi means what, intellect or knowledge. Tumadi, very pious knowledge, the right wisdom that you want to have, that you will get as you keep performing bhakti towards Krishna. So that is what is being established in chapter number 8 and pasuram number 9. We will go to number 10. Tanmenmayum Tan Pirappil Talara Tanilenayum Panmeni Nandinanpal Piriya Anbar Asegalum Punmeni Vinnavar Pal Puriyada Tan Pattimayum Nanneni Naranan Tan Naranukku Navindranane. Here he establishes that he is the supreme of everything. In this sloka, if you go to this chapter in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, it will all be kind of first person saying, I am the supreme, I am the supreme. He'll keep saying that. I am the universe, Lord of everything. Those kind of thing he says. That's why in this pasuram you'll see tan. He's only talking about himself. So you have a lot of emphasis happening where Krishna clearly explains to Arjuna that he is the supreme of this entire world. And when we talk of world, later it will come. They are not talking of this earth or this planetary system, there's a lot more. So he's talking about the entire universe, the prapancha, that he is the almost, and he is supreme in all avatars that he takes. So he explains why he takes a lot of incarnations or avatars in various times. He keeps explaining this in this chapter number 9, and that is what he does completely. So where he is leading is, if you really look at it, in the first 6 chapters he told Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, asked him to do his duty and gain knowledge. Now gain knowledge about what? About himself. That's what he's establishing in the next 6, so that you can perform bhakti properly. So that is what he's establishing back and forth in the 9th chapter, which is 10th sloka. Okay. Now the next 2 pasurams will be amazing. Next 2 chapters, chapter 10 and 11. Yella illada tan seelamam இன்னமுத கடலும் எல்லையில்லாத விபூதியெல்லாம் தனதானமையும் எல்லையில் பத்திதனை எழுவிக்க திருவருளால் எல்லையில் ஈசன் எம்பினன் இந்திரன் மைந்தனுக்கே. So the word here is completely yellai. To give an meaning of yellai is limit or boundary. So here Swami Desikan establishes what Sri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that he is limitless. There is no boundary for Sri Krishna. So here if you go deep into the 10th chapter, he will clearly say amongst the there are many suns. We only know one sun we are seeing, but in the universe they got many suns. Among the sun he says who he is. He is Aditya. Among the humans he is Arjuna, or among the Pandavas he is Arjuna. He goes on to say a lot of things like this, one step at a time. So 10th chapter he keeps establishing. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. No, that's okay. Yeah, sure. So, among everybody, he says, among the snakes, he is Vasuki. So, he keeps saying everything. Among this, I am this. Among this, I am this. So, he goes on, and that 10th chapter fully, if you read, Sri Krishna establishes that in the 9th chapter is already established as supreme. Then he says, among all these things, this is where you can see me. So he goes on to say, and among Pandavas, he says is Arjuna. That's the best part. He's talking to Arjuna and he says, among the Pandavas, I'm you, Arjuna. That's what he says. So that is what Swami Desikan is establishing. So we are in the 11th Pasaram, page number 29, sir. So, Ellai illada than Seelamam, Innamada Kadalum, Ellai illada Vibhuthi ellam. There is no limit, there is no boundary. Vibhuthi here means the universe. We know that we are talking about Earth, we probably know solar system. But what Srimad Bhagavatam explains this universe is, there are 7 lokas above, there are 7 lokas below. And so that is what is the entire universe that is this. So the Prapancha is much big. And the Prapancha is in the form of an egg. That's why it's called Andam. So the whole Prapancham is also referred as Andam. Anda means egg, right? So it's in an egg-shaped form. So he is the universe of all, this entire universe is Prapancham. That's what we are talking about. So Vibhuti, in common parlance, all this put together is Leela Vibhuti. Leela Vibhuti means a playground. Leela means play. So this is Bhagavan Sri Krishna's playground. That's why this whole Prapancha is called Leela Vibhuti. His abode, permanent abode in Vaikuntha is called Nitya Vibhuti. So that's why Swami Desikan uses Ella Iladu Vibhuti Ellam. So this, if this Leela Vibhuti is 1/3, 1/4, 3/4 is the size of Nitya Vibhuti. So he is the universe of both these Vibhutis, Nitya Vibhuti and Leela Vibhuti. And that is what he says is limitless. He is the boss of entire thing, and that is one. Then he brings back Thiruvarulal. We discussed that we need to ensure Bhagavan Sri Krishna is always with Lakshmi Ma. We cannot separate them. We briefly discussed last week that it is always Sriman Narayana together or Mahavishnu, Mahalakshmi together. We saw through an example in Ramayana that Surpanaga wanted Rama alone without Sita, she perished. Rama wanted Sita alone without Rama, he perished. Hanumanji wanted to see them together, we worship him as a god. So we always look at them together, we never separate. So at an important point when Swami Desikan is mentioning the entire universe and Prapancha, both Leela Vibhuti and Nitya Vibhuti, he brings Mahalakshmi also here. In other pasarams he doesn't bring. Here he brings Thiruvarulal. Thiru means Mahalakshmi. So Thiruvarulal, Ella Illada. So he says, I have no limit, and I told who? Indra's son. Okay, Arjuna, if you go back to, we know it's a Panduputra's son, that's how we know, that's why he's a Pandava, right? But where did Indra come from? He says, uses the word Indran Maindanake, so he's the son of Indra. So let's take back a step. In Mahabharata, Kunti Devi and Pandu are married, but Pandu has a curse that he cannot bear children. And so Kunti is blessed with some mantras where she can look at a Devata, recite that mantra, she will be blessed with a baby immediately. We know she tries this and Karna is born before her wedding. Right? So that is why Karna goes to Kaurava, she has to abandon, and that's a separate story. Similarly, here to give birth to Arjuna, she prays to Indra. And that's how Arjuna is born, that's why it's called Indra's son. Though technically they are all Pandu's sons, but that is how this is happening. We completed sloka number 11, which is chapter 10, which is an amazing chapter. Really, if you listen to real Pandits who are fully knowledgeable and look at the 10th chapter and 11th chapter, listen to them, it's mind blowing. It's so much of details in there. So let's recite number 12. Yellam Tanakuruvai Yelangum Vagai Tan Uraitu Sollal Arindadu Soramal Kandida Vendum Endra Villadanaku Meikkan Koduthidu Verumundo Nallargal Kanbar Yendru Navindran Nangal Nayagane. Okay. So here Arjuna is now so thrilled that he has learned from Krishna. We have come to 10 chapters, right? Out of 18 he's already listened to 10 chapters. So Arjuna is so excited, thrilled, overwhelmed, the whole thing of knowing about Sri Krishna. And in the 9th chapter, he has explained that he owns all this Prapancha, everything originates from him, everything goes back to him, everything is done. In 10th chapter, he says, I am everything, I am who in everything is and everything. Now, initially Arjuna is confused. That's how Bhagavad Gita itself starts, right? Totally confused Arjuna is slowly moving towards being confident. Now his doubts is all cleared that Sri Krishna is the Supreme. In fact, in between he asked, you have been with me, you are my relative, I see you with me. You seem to be talking about all these things as if it is, you told this earlier. Then, this as part of this, Krishna explains, I am the Supreme. I've told this many years to somebody else also. All these things I've already given earlier. So he establishes all that stuff. So Arjuna is now completely thrilled and confident that Sri Krishna's Paramatma is not just his cousin. So he now moves up the ladder. Now he says, oh Krishna, I've seen you, heard you so much from you. I'm so blessed to hear all these words from you. So that's why he said, I now want to see you. He says, you're seeing me. No, see you, the real you. So this whole chapter is a Vishwarupa chapter, where Bhagavan Sri Krishna shows his true self as a Vishwarupa. Vishwarupa means the complete or majestic Rupa, majestic form, or the real form. We can say this. Very important word here is Meikan Kodithidu. You cannot see Krishna with our normal eyes. You need Divyak Shakshush. As Sanskrit they use is Divyak Shakshush. In Tamil it says Meikan. So Arjuna is first blessed with the divine vision to see Krishna in that form, a Vishwarupa majestic form, where he shows his entire boss, his entire universe, he shows entire Pravancha in him, he shows everything. It's a real Rupa of Krishna. So Arjuna is truly blessed to see Krishna like that. I don't think how many of them, you have to really look at the scriptures to see how many people Krishna has shown his Vishwarupa. Arjuna is truly blessed to have the darshan to get that darshan. So in that he says, now I gave you the divine vision to see me in this Vishwarupa. Tell me, is there anything parallel to this? Veru Mundo. He says, is there anything that you want to see more? No, he says no. Then Krishna says, all jnanis will be able to see me like this. Jnani again, one who is truly devoted to Krishna. And how one becomes jnani? By performing the karma yoga. He performs his or her duties day in and day out, without looking at the fruits or the results of it. You do it for pleasing Krishna and acquiring jnana, the divine knowledge about Krishna. When you constantly do it, you become a jnani. And every jnani, nallargal kanbar. So here he uses the word nallargal. One who gets that jnana will be able to see me anytime. That's what, and then he says Nayagan, the boss. That's what he uses the word, because here is in Vishwarupa form, right? Ultimate form. That is what Swami Desikan is using here in this chapter. So we completed number 12. We'll move on to number 13. Tan Kadalil Bhakti Tazhadadum Adan Karanamam இன்குண சிந்தையும் ஈதறியார் அவ்வடிமைகளும் தன் கருமங்கள் அறியாதவர்க்கு இலகு நிலையும் தன் கடல் அன்பர்க்கு நல்லவன் சாற்றினன் பார்த்தனுக்கே. So those who practice Bhakti Yoga will always stay focused in Krishna's feet. That's the essence of this pasaram. But what he is saying, Swami Desikan says, Tan Kadalil, Kadal means divine feet. So whoever is not looking at Krishna's feet, whoever is not performing the duty, attributing to Krishna's feet, will always have different thoughts or will be dragged in different directions, which will make them move away from their steadfast focus. So that's why, and that will also affect them from performing the karma yoga. So which means, if karma yoga fails, then your jnana yoga will also fail, thereby bhakti yoga will also fail. So it's a chain. So he says, always stay focused. Where to stay focused? On Sri Krishna's divine feet. Tan Kadal. That's the essence of this pasaram that Swami Desikan is saying in chapter number 12. So always stay focused on his divine feet. Automatically you will be performing the karma yoga. Automatically you will gain jnana yoga. More and more jnana will come. When karma yoga and jnana yoga marries together, that will give birth to bhakti yoga. So you will continuously perform bhakti to Sri Krishna. So that's what it is. ஊனின் படியும் உயிரின் பிரிவும் உயிர் பெறுவார் ஞானம் பெரு வகையும் ஞானம் என்ற உயிர் பயனும் ஊன் நின்றதற்கடியும் உயிர் வேறிடும் உள் விறகும் தேன் நின்ற பாதம் தெளிவித்தனன் சிலை பார்த்தனுக்கே. Again, he establishes what he told in the first 6 chapters. Body and Atma are different. Please remember always. He keeps pressing that button always to Arjuna, thereby to us. We cannot think we are body ourselves. As we discussed earlier, Atma is eternal. It has got no death, no end. This is the body that dies. So based on the karma, we all have been blessed with this body together. Based on our karma, after this life is over, this Atma will go to the next body. It's a cycle of birth, death and rebirth. How to break it? We discussed about Bhakti Yoga, Prabhati Yoga. What is Bhakti Yoga? Like Prahlada, like you take a cup of oil, start pouring like this, straight it will come, without smearing this side, that's it. Thailadhara Bhakti. That is Bhakti Yoga. I don't think this environment we are capable of. I have too many distractions we have. So what do we do then? Prapatti Yoga. We perform this surrender. Surrender, there are enough instances in life. If you take Ramayana, it's a Mahakavya of not just talking of Bhagavan Sri Rama and Sita Man, it also talks of surrender. It is Akalika's surrender is there, Kuni's surrender is there, Sabari's surrender is there, Jadayu's surrender is there, epitome of all this, Vibhishana's surrender is there. So you will see Ramayana, it's everything is surrender, 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 surrender. So your practicals is Ramayana, Tere is Krishna avatar. So he first practices before he preaches. Bhagavan Sri Krishna is brilliant. So Sriman Narayana first comes as an avatar of Rama, performs all his duties, then comes as Krishna and preaches. He doesn't preach and then practice. He practices and then preaches. So the surrender, if you look at Ramayana, it's everywhere. Krishna says surrender to me. Because performing Bhakti Yoga, you need a lot of tapas. Tapas is basically not just sitting in a mountain or under a tree to do tapas. It's about focused on Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, like the Thaila. But we all have Jaladhara Bhakti, our water will go all sides. Our Bhakti can be, by the time we do 100 thoughts will come in our mind. So we may not be able to do Bhakti Yoga. So he says Prapatti Yoga, surrender. For which he established, why I need to do surrender? To break the cycle of birth, death and rebirth. Birth, death and rebirth doesn't happen to Atma, it happens to the body. So just as we change our shirts every day, the Atma changes the body which is its shirt, after which its lifetime is over. And next body we will get based on our karma. So that process is going. We want to stop this process because we don't want to be in this world where we go through one day we are happy, one day we are sorrow, third day we are dull, fourth day we are excited. This cycle keeps happening. So we don't want to be there, we want to be in eternal service of Krishna. So how to break it? You come to me. That's why, for which we need to understand Atma is eternal and that is different. So in this chapter, he keeps talking about the same thing, Sarir-Atma relationship, Atma, Paramatma, Jivatma, Paramatma relationship. He keeps establishing what he told in the first 12 chapters, he's re-establishing here. So that's what he's doing. So qualities of Atma. We all have Trigunas and a mix of Trigunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas gunas. So we know Sattvic, we know Rajasic, we know Tamasic. All of us have all these qualities. It is what goes up and down determines how we behave at a time. So ideal to have is the Sattvic qualities. That's why you call somebody very radiant and quiet and just peaceful, you say he looks very sadhu. Or a good rishi, we say sadhu. Where that word come from? From Sattvic gunas. A person who carries, who demonstrates Sattvic guna becomes a sadhu. A Rajasic guna is one who is extreme of everything. Extreme of anger, extreme of happiness, extreme of lust. Everything extreme is a Rajasic guna. Tamasic guna is laziness, feeling zombie, feeling suicidal, feeling killing somebody, all the depressed and all that is Tamasic guna. And in fact, he establishes the food you take determines what qualities goes up. So very simple, stored food will always make us tamasic. And with the advent of refrigerators, all of us are eating stored food. That determines why most of the time we are a bit lazy because of this. Primary reason is this. And classic example is, what is wine? Wine is nothing but grape juice stored and fermented over a period of time. So that stored food, when you drink wine, after some time we intoxicate, we lose our senses. So stored food will always make us lose our senses. So there are ways in which, how do you take food, what food you take and all. That's why most festivals we have food restrictions. Ekadashi, you perform fast. For some other festival, we only eat at this time, and we avoid meat, we avoid this, we avoid only this. So all this restriction, why? Because the food determines our quality. So he explains all this in this chapter, actually the food you eat. So how, we all have these three gunas, how to enhance sattvic gunas, ensure you stay focused on jnana, bhakti, karma yoga, and also the food. That will all come in this, because the body is what is the carrier of your jivatma. So it is important that we maintain the body properly. So that's what is established. So that is for 14. In fact, for this, Swami Desikan in another work has beautifully, I don't know if he's referring to this Pasuram and this, probably I need more reading or knowledge, but he's in another work in Tamil, he's beautifully explained how Bhagavan Shivan Narayana helps him. He says, he's given me this life, he manages the Jivatma, and he gives me a body, and then gives me the knowledge that body and Atma are different, and he also gives me the knowledge that he is supreme, and then he gives me his divine faith to surrender, and then Narayana feels that, oh, this child has come to me and he is very happy. Everything is done by him, and he also says he is very happy that this child has come to me. So that is what Swami Desikan has mentioned in another lovely Pasuram. So that is another different work called Amrita Ranjani. We will now go to number 15. Okay. முக்குணமே உயிர் முற்றவும் கட்டிட மூண்டமையும் முக்குணமே அனைத்தும் வினைகொள்ள முயன்றமையும் முக்குணமாயை கடத்தலும் முக்கதி தந்தளிப்பும் முக்குணம் அற்ற பிரான் மொழிந்தான் முடியோன் தனக்கே. Here the whole thing is about three gunas, muggunam, muggunam, muggunam. We just discussed sattvic, rajas, tamas. Okay, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, or sattva, rajas, tamas. So he says this is what drives a jivatma in the body to do the day-to-day works. So always ensure that you have these three gunas under your control. This is where probably I need to look at the Moola Sanskrita Slokam. Probably Arjuna would have addressed Krishna as Rishikesa. Why Krishna is addressed as Rishikesa is he holds the reins for all our emotions. So when you are troubled, when you are worried, when you are tense, just say Rishikesha, he will hold all our emotions. He will bring it back under control. When you think we are going out of control, either because of some worry or some fear or something, just say Rishikesha, he will hold it. So that is why he is the controller for all our emotions. So here he establishes Mugguname Uir Mutram. So the three gunas keeps moving us every day. That they are the reason for us to perform all our acts. Jivatma is pristine. It's pure as rainwater, pure as gold or something. Then how does, once it enters the body, it makes all the mistakes that we do. Somebody becomes a thief, somebody becomes a murderer, somebody becomes corrupt, all this things. How does it happen? That is because of the three gunas. And that three gunas comes because of the Prakriti Sammata. Prakriti is the earth. Moment we touch the earth, it has its own qualities. So the Jivatma is pristine, enters the body and comes to the earth, then earth takes over. Because of this Prakriti Sambandha, we get. So most of the times when we do prayers at home or in a community and all that, when we end it, we always say a standard sloka, right? Kayena vacha manasendriyarva buddhyatmanava prakrite swabhavat karomi atyat. So it's all these things, errors that I would have done is because of prakrite swabhavat. The prakriti, this earth leads us. And by earth he means the trigunas. The trigunas drives us to do what we do sometimes. So for us to keep doing good deeds, we have to ensure sattvic gunas are always on top. So that is what he is establishing in this 15th Pasuram. And the last but one line, if you see, Muggunam Atrapiram. So does Krishna have these three gunas? No. He is always Sattva. He is beyond of all these things. He is God, right? He is Bhagavan. So he is beyond of all these three gunas. So Muggunam Atrapiran. Piran is leader. So that's what he says. Mudiyon is a king. The valorous king Arjuna is telling a valorous king that you need, because a king should have more of rajasic qualities. Only then he can run his kingdom. So he is telling a king, don't have these three qualities, focus only on sattva qualities. So he is establishing against you, your jivatma, as jivatma, you are pure, you are pristine, but these three gunas will drive you, so keep it under control. So that is what is the message that we have in 15. We go to 16. Mu ettilum அதின் மோகம் அடைந்த உயிர்களிலும் நாயட்டெழுத்தொடு நல்வீடு நன்னின நம்பரிலும் மேயெட்டு வன்குண விண்ணோர்களிலும் விசயனுக்கு தாவிட்டுலகளந்தான் தனை வேறென்று சாற்றினனே. The mu 8, it means 3 into 8. Just for the benefit, mu is 3, 8 is number 8, 3 into 8 is 24. There are 24 tattvas. It's a separate topic by itself. I'm not going deep into it. There are 24 tattvas that is surrounding us. 25th is Jeevatma Tattva, 26th is Paramatma Tattva. So whenever you say 26, you are actually mentioning Sriman Narayana, Sri Krishna. That is what is the Supreme Tattva. These 24 tattvas basically are 5 indriyas. So we have this seeing, speaking, hearing, smelling, all those things. Plus there are other 5, there are a lot of things broken into it, so we'll talk about it separately. All these 6 adds up to 24. So that's what he says. All these 24 elements, okay, are tattvas, drives us. So people get immersed in this 24, they forget the 25, which is Jivatma, which is separate from all these things. And more importantly, they miss the 26th tattva. That's what the second line he says. Who gets immersed in these 24 things, basically in sensory pleasures and all that, we're just very happy with all those things, you miss the bus. Actually, you miss the important things of understanding that body is different from Atma, and your karmas determine your next body. So that means you have to do right karmas. So all those things you miss out if you only focus on the first 24. So people who do all these things, you get immersed there. The third line he says, Nayattu. Nayattu means there is 8-letter mantra, which is called the Ashtakshara. Okay? Normally, everybody knows it, even I know it, but I don't say it outside because one, it is not supposed to be told loud. Number 2, it has to be imparted first by an Acharya. So that is why I am not saying it. But all of us know what is an Ashtakshara. So he says, Nayattu. So whoever keeps reciting the Ashtakshara will get the right house. Here, the right house is talking about the moksha, which is the Nitya Vibhuti, is Sri Vaikuntham. He says, and I treat them as a jnani who will be more than the devas. Vinnorgalilum. So he says, Krishna says, one who is reciting this 8-letter word and keeps surrendering to me, I treat them more than, or they will glow more than the devas who are there in the ether world, who is there. So that is what he says. He's saying to whom? Vijayan. Vijayan is one is victorious in all his wars and all that. And that is what he says, Antavit Ulagalamma. Who is saying this? He is saying, Swami Desikan says, not saying Krishna is saying, he says Trivikrama is saying. One who is the Lord of 3 worlds, right? We all know the Mahabali Chakravarti's Purana, where Vishnu takes the avatar of Vamana, then becomes Trivikrama. So he says, Tavittu Ulagalandan. He uses the word Ulagalandan, which is Trivikrama, one who measured all the words. So who is saying this? That keep reciting his 8-letter Ashtakshara, that I, the master of all this universe, will be very happy with you. So that is what he is mentioning here in this passage 16. Okay. We now go to 17. Aanai Maradavar தேவர் அல்லா வழக்கோர் அசுரர் கோணை மறாத குணச்செல்வ நீ குறிக்கொள் மறையை பேணிய தத்துவமும் பிணியற்ற கிரிசைகளும் கான் இதனால் விசையா என்று கண்ணன் எம்பினனே. Here we are talking about Deva Asura. Now we all know, we all were familiar thanks to our movies that we have been seeing from our childhood. Deva means they will be dressed in a particular way. Asura means they will all have long teeth, weird hairdo, 2 horns and all those things. Slightly scary to look at, or like that. So are really Asuras like that? Do we see Asuras like that here? No. So that means, do they have a separate world they are living somewhere? No. So here Krishna establishes in 16th chapter who is a Deva and who is Asura. He says, all who listens to me and abides by me are Deva. Whoever contradicts me, whoever goes against my will are asura. That's it. So I can be an asura moment I negate whatever Krishna says. I don't have to have long teeth and all those ones. I automatically become an asura. So Aanai Maradavar Devar. One who obeys me are Deva. One who disobeys me, Allah Vadakor, who keeps contradicting me, who keeps just challenging whatever I say, asura. That's it. Very simple, straightforward, one line, two line, you finished. Kode Marada Gunachelva. Then suddenly Arjuna is worried. So am I a Deva or Asura? He is now worried. Right? Obviously he is listening to it. Then he says, don't worry, you are a Gunachelva, an epitome of good gunas. Okay? Why? Because I am in 16th chapter. You have listened to all 15 chapters without opening your mouth. Anything against, that means you are listening to me. That means you are a Deva. So that's what he is saying here. So now that you are a Deva, just follow whatever I told in the Vedas, whatever I told you as your Karma Yoga. So that is what it says. Now who is saying, in the previous pasaram he says Thavit Tulagalandan, he uses Trivikrama. Now he says Kannan Yambinane. Swami Desikan says it's Krishna who is telling him in a very friendly manner, not as the boss. So that is what the term that is used here from Trivikrama to Kannan. So Aanai Maradavar Devar, one who always obeys Sri Krishna, one who is always doing everything at the thought of Krishna and offering this with all he does at the divine feet of Krishna, automatically we are Devas. We don't have to be in Indraloka, we don't have to be in Varunloka to be Deva, we can be Deva here also. That's what he's saying. Kannan Iyambinane. Iyambinane is telling. Kannan, because in the previous pasaram he says Thavit Tulagalandan, right? So he's using Thiruvikrama. Thiruvikrama is the supreme. I mean, you can't even look at him, right? All you can see is probably his thumb of his foot. Kannan is more friendly. We always say when you like somebody, you say Kannai Mava, that's how we call it, right? So he uses the word Kanna is more a friendly manner. So from a Thiruvikrama, he becomes Kannan. It's a more friendly manner. He says that you are a Deva, don't worry, you've been listening to me like a good boy, so don't worry. So that's what he's saying. So we are now in 18, which will be 17th chapter. Mare Porundadavai Vallasirarku Vaguthamayum Mare Porundum Nilayum Vangunappadi Moovagayum Mare Nilai Tannai Vagukkum Kuri Moondrin Menmayayum Ammare Umildan Urethan Vasavan Tan Siruvanukke. So here he says Marai Porundadavai. Marai means Vedas. We spoke about it last week. Vedas is always referred as Marai. That's why Divya Prabandham by 12 Alvars is called Tamil Marai. It's Vedas written in Tamil, that's why it's called Tamil Marai. So Marai means Vedas. So whatever Vedas says, do it accordingly. Don't do anything against the Vedas. Don't be a Veda Virodhi or Veda Viruddha. Don't do all those things. That's what he says. And how does you do this? Because your Sattvic, Rajasic and Tamas Guna will drive you. So enhance your Sattvic qualities so that you are always aligned with the Vedas. That is what he says. And here again he establishes the food you take is going to determine who you are. So take the right food, the right way, and all those things he establishes during Dwapara Yuga itself. So today it's all the more relevant for us in terms of how we eat. So that is what he says. And who is saying this? Ammare Umindan Uretan. One who spit. Vedas is basically Krishna, Bhagavan's, breath. That's what he says. There's no written original scripture for this, right? It comes through his breath. So it comes through his nostrils. And he has told this not just to Arjuna now. He has told this to Brahma many eons back. Before Dwapara Yuga, before Treta Yuga. So here, Tan Siruvanukke uses not to Arjuna. He uses this to Brahma. That is the reference here that Swami Desikan is bringing. I have told this eons back, I am telling you again, Arjuna. So that is what he is saying here. So control your food, always go aligned with the Vedas, don't go against the Vedas. That's a message for us from 17th chapter. 18th chapter, sloka number 19, which is most important and the essence of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the last chapter. Sattva Vidudai Narkarmam Tan Ugandamayum Sattvam Ulladu Tan Kurikkol Vagai Seidadavum Sattva Narkirisai Payanum சரணாகதியும் சத்துவமே தருவான் உரைத்தான் தனிப்பார்த்தனுக்கே. This whole Bhagavad Gita ends with this 18th chapter, and he says taniparthanike, the last line, the incomparable, there is no substitute or equivalent to Parthan. Parthan here is Arjuna. Arjuna's one more name is Parthan. So Taniparthan is not just Parthan, the very individualistic, very unique Parthan, because of his valor, because of his courage, because of his abilities and all that. He is supreme. As a human being, he is supreme. He is what do you call it? Unparalleled, blemishless in all his activities. Who is saying this? So he is Sattva Taruvan, one who gives only sattvic qualities. This whole pasram will start with Sattva, Sattva, Sattva. It's all about sattvic qualities. That's why it ends with this one. Obviously, once you recite, dwell on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, learn, understand more, everything, you will get a lot of sattvic qualities. So that is what is driving here. So Sattva Vidudai. So there is something called Sattvika Tyaga that we perform. Normally when we start performing a yajna, at home you want to do Ganesh Puja or Sudarsana Homa or something like that, the priest will ask you to take some sankalpa, and after the sankalpa he will drive you to say something called Sattvika Tyaga. I am not doing this, I am being used by him to do this, and at the end of it you again do another Sattvika Tyaga saying, I offer all this phala back to Narayana. That is where Kayana Vacha will come, where you complete it is a Kayana Vacha Manasendriyarva Buddhyatmanava Prakriti Swabhavat Karomi Yatyat Sagalam Parasmai Narayanayati Samarpayami. You submit everything to Narayana, that is Sattvika Tyaga. So basically a Tyaga means sacrifice. Here we don't use the word as a sacrifice. I let go of everything, let go of I. I am not doing anything. At the start of doing anything, you say he is doing, using me as a tool. At the end, you say you did everything and I am giving all the fruits under your feet. That's what you do, Sattvika Tyaga. So Sattva Vidudai means Sattvika Tyaga. So Nal Vidudai. So he always says completely Sattva Nar Kirisai uses. Kirisai is all your karma yoga. Nar Kirisai, good deeds. Sattva. In good deeds is also more Sattvik. So everything you focus on Sattvik, 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 and Saranagat. So 18th chapter, 66th sloka, most of us know, Sarvadharman Parityacha, Mam Ekam Sharanam Vracha, Aham Ta Sarvabhabepyami, Mokshaishyami Masuchaha. Sarvadharman Parityacha. Forget all the other things that you know. Okay, Sarvadharman Parityacha, Mam Ekam Sharanam Vracha. He says, fall unto my feet, Mam Ekam. It's an important key word is Ekam. Fall unto me only. Sharanam Vracha, surrender unto me. Mokshaishyami, I will give you liberation. This is the moksha. Liberation here is the Jivatma breaking the cycle of birth, death and rebirth. The cycle of it, you break it and you go to Vaikuntha, moksha. That is the moksha loka where you can be in eternal service of Krishna. So, Masuchaha, don't worry. That's what he says. So, people who have visited temples in Tamil Nadu, there is a place called Uppiliappan Kovil in near Kumbakonam, where in the Lord's palm it says Mam Ekam Sharanam Vracha. Then you come to Kanchipuram, in Varadaraja Perumal Kovil, he says Masuchaha, he says, don't worry, I am here taking care of you. So you'll always see this written in these temples when you go. So Sarvadharman Parityacha, that's what he says. So that is all about surrender. So finally, all the good Narkirise, all your good karma yoga, all your good jnana will lead to good bhakti. All these things will lead to what? Surrender into Sri Krishna and surrender its divine feet. And Saranagati is the essence, or if you have to take one message, that is the message. You surrender unto me, I will take care of you, don't worry. So this concept of surrender is obviously when you say it's a very easy thing to do. All you need to have total faith, unshakable faith in Krishna. That's all it's required to do. But a lot of people misinterpret that I perform Saranagati, that I can do anything I want. No, it's not. That doesn't mean that we will not be punished. Only thing is we will be punished in this birth itself, we won't have a next birth. So no condemnation of wrong deeds. For example, I pick up a fight with somebody, road rage, or pick up a fight with my friend and all that, I will get back whatever karma because of that, I'll get back in this birth itself. I don't have to wait because there's no more future birth. That's the only difference. But you will attain moksha if you perform Saranagati. And the last sloka of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, 78th sloka. We'll read, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shri Vijaya Bhumir, Dhruva Nedir Madir Mamaha. Is said by Sanjaya. It's not told by Krishna or Arjuna, it's told by Sanjaya. As we discussed earlier, Srimad Bhagavad Gita is a conversation with Bhagavan Sri Krishna and Arjuna. There's a small parallel conversation that will also happen between Dhritarashtra and Sanjaya. So Sanjaya finally says this, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Tatra Partho Dhanurdhara, Atra Sri Vijaya Bhumir, Dhruva Nedir Madir Mamaha. What it means is, where there is Arjuna ready to fight, and where there is Krishna blessing him with all this, with directly blessing, you will be blessed with victory, happiness, wealth and popularity, everything, all the positive things. So what it means is, wherever we have our effort with full faith in Krishna, and Krishna will be there, we will be blessed with the same thing. So that is how Bhagavad Gita ends as the last chapter, last line. So Srimad Bhagavad Gita, we are all blessed to hear Sri Krishna himself speak directly to us. And here we spoke about how Krishna became a charioteer, what all he did in the last thing. You see the roles that Krishna plays here. First and foremost, Sri Krishna and Arjuna are relatives. Obviously they are cousins, they are relatives. Second is they are good friends. Sri Krishna and Arjuna, among all the Pandavas, they are good friends to each other. And then just because Arjuna asks, Sri Krishna comes as a charioteer. And now he is now the Guru or Acharya, blessing him with complete learnings through Srimad Bhagavad Gita. That is why we always use the term Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. We don't say Ramam Vande Jagat Guru. We don't say Srinivasan Vande Jagat Guru. We always use the word Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. Who is the Jagat Guru? Sri Krishna himself, because he was the one who gave us Bhagavad Gita. So he performs the role of everything. A friend, a cousin, a relative, a servant, if you have to use the term as a charioteer, and the Guru, the Acharya. That is called Geetacharya or Jagat Guru. He has given us this Gita. So we only saw a very small portion of the tip of the iceberg. Gita is so profound, so deep and a lot of things. So whatever we enjoyed here is thanks to Swami Desikan's Tamil Pasarams. We were able to relate to a lot of things. Obviously, you go to the Moolam of Srimad Bhagavad Gita with learned Pandits, then go chapter by chapter, sloka by sloka. There are 700 slokas for us to enjoy. All our lifetime we can keep enjoying. There are so much meanings and inner meanings that will come to us in various forms. So speaking of Bhagavad Gita, we always look at two things, right? Because Krishna is a charioteer. Charioteer in Sanskritam is Sarathi. Right? Who's Sarathi? Parthan's Sarathi. That's why the term Partha Sarathi is there. Parthan is one more name of Arjuna. One who is Parthan's Sarathi is Partha Sarathi, is Krishna himself. When we speak of Partha Sarathi, how did he become a charioteer? When the war was about to start, a quick background for you, when the Kurukshetra war is about to start, both the Kauravas and Pandavas wanted Krishna. So Krishna is sleeping, Duryodhana entered. Duryodhana is the opposite camp of Pandavas. He goes to see Krishna. Arjuna is also coming. Arjuna comes first and sees Krishna sleeping. He waits near his feet. Duryodhana comes and sees Krishna sleeping. He also decides to wait, but he says, I am a king. I will not sit near the feet. I will go sit near the head. So if somebody is sleeping like this, somebody is sitting near the head, somebody is sitting near the leg. When I open my eyes, obviously I see somebody sitting in my leg first. So Krishna opens his eyes and he sees Arjuna. Hello Arjuna, how are you? What do you want? Then he looks at, oh, Duryodhana is here, what do you want? So both of them say, okay, war is there. Okay, Arjuna, I saw Arjuna first, so whatever Arjuna wants, I will talk to him first. He says, okay, war is starting, Krishna, I want you with me. He says, I will come to you. I will not take any weapons. None of my warriors will come, my soldiers, my army will not come with you. He said, okay. He says, no problem, I want only you. Duryodhana says, what a fool he is. Krishna's army is such big army and he is also not going to take weapons. Krishna's weapon is only one weapon, the Sudarshana Chakra, which is anything he can do with it, right? So what he may use 100 weapons, as Rama he can use the bow, but normally everything is Sudarshana personified. Duryodhana says, I'm very happy Krishna, you go with him, you give me all your army, they go. The Parthasarathi, he has normally Sri Krishna you will find with 4 arms in all the pictures and all that. 2 arms normally, 2 arms holding the Shankha Chakra and all that. In this avatar as Parthasarathi, he has only 2 arms because there is no need for the weapon. And only he needed the conch. That's what he starts the war with. Then he's got a small knife just to manage the horses and the ropes as a charioteer. Where do we go worship Krishna like this? Right? Then you go to a temple in Chennai, heart of Chennai. There's a temple called Parthasarathi temple. The temple itself is called like this. So you'll find Krishna with his entire family. Krishna, Rukmani, Balarama, his brother, then Aniruddha, his son, and Pradyumna, his grandson. All in the sanctum itself. And with two hands, no chakra, only Shankha, and with a small knife in his waist. So that, and only place where Mahavishnu will have a mustache. Only as a Parthasarathi you will find him with a mustache. Nowhere else you will find Krishna or Vishnu with a mustache. Narasimha will have the full thing like a lion, but you won't find him. Rama and all clean shaven, clean. This only place you will have a mustache. So that is where, because it is, we are talking about Geetartha, we are talking about Parthasarathi and Bhagavad Gita. I mentioned about this temple. I have written a small booklet about this temple, which I will share it with you after this. So whenever you have the chance to go to Chennai, please visit the temple and have darshan of that Parthasarathi there as an epitome. So with this, we complete this session. I am open for questions as what you want.
Prakriti, do you also mean Vasana is the same as Prakriti?
Yes, Vasana will be Jivatma's Vasana because in many births we take, so we will carry a lot of karmas. So we may carry some Vasanas from the previous birth, many previous births in current birth also. So that is also because of Prakriti, because we're born here. So the Vasanas get carried over here. So the normal analogy that is given is, in all our cooking we use asafoetida. And when asafoetida gets over, we keep the empty box or bottle for a long time. You take after 1 year, you'll still have the small vasana coming. No other bottle will give that, only asafoetida. So that's the example they give, where the Atma carries the vasana from all other births in current births. That's because of Prakriti.
Those who follow Advaita, they don't seek for liberation?
The concept of liberation is different. Everybody seeks for liberation. Whether Advaita, Dvaita, Visishta, Dvaita, everybody works for liberation. Concept is different. What my understanding of Dvaita is very minimal, so we need to go to a learned people. Dvaita is duality. So Paramatma is there, Jivatma is there. I am a servant, but I am independent from him, is their thought. So to perform the act of bhakti, the definition of bhakti and surrender is very different in Dvaita. So that's a different thing. But they also work towards liberation.
No, Advaita Vedanta, they in fact are against the prayers. They in fact instead of praying, they say introspect your existence. And
That is because Aham Brahmasmi, you look at your God internally, yourself as a God.
yes.
So they don't actually look at name and form of God. Technically, we go to
they're actually against the prayer itself, I guess. They say praying is a waste of time. Introspect. Use find out yourself.
Kaivalya. That is
Yes,
what.
if you find out yourself who you are, I think that is the mukti, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Once you realize you're an Atma, it's Mukti. Yeah,
Yes.
that's what that's
Yes.
Advaita's philosophy.
yes.
Yeah.
But,
Because they say you and God are one. That's why it's not Dvaita, it's Advaita. That's why it says it's a one. And that's why Ramanuja said, Vishisht Advaita. We are one, but we are different. We come from him and go back to him.
maybe what I understand is maybe this is for teachings for different levels of people. It's this, you say somebody you are the God, and it's too difficult for someone to understand it, and you always have in society people with different levels of understanding, and maybe they have to find what suits them, and one shirt doesn't fit everyone, right? One size doesn't fit everyone. Probably it's for you, I think, is to choose which path
Which path you want, exactly.
And at the end, you are able to find the liberation, what you're looking at. That matters then. I think it's for every problem you have infinite solutions. Maybe someone has a straight solution, someone has two difficult solutions. It's for
It
you.
depends, yeah. It's about interpretation and how do you want to
Exactly.
follow.
I mean, so it's I think it's now a different theories. Finally, what you become, I think is most important. I guess.
Any other question?
We all say that moksha is the cherished goal of everyone.
Correct.
We want to be liberated and get out of this cycle of
Yeah.
But at the same time, everybody wants to live as honest.
That's the irony. In fact, that comes in Yaksha Prashna in Mahabharata itself. So when Yaksha asks Dharma, he says, "What do you find very ironical or funny?" I mean, the exact words I don't know. He says, "There are a lot of people who cry when somebody dies and thinking they are going to live for long." so that's what he finds it very funny. Yeah. So it's almost the same Yaksha Prashna itself.
That is because we have identified ourselves with the body.
In the body, and we think the body is not perishable. That is why the establishment of Atma, body and Atma are different, and that pressing, Bhagavad Gita does a lot of things. Bhagavan Krishna keeps pressing that point time and again in many chapters, many chapters. Sarira Atma difference, he establishes so much.